I'm back. Okay. Yay. Hopefully I didn't lose too many people. Okay. And I think I have a good connection. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm a happy girl. Gonna hang for just a sec. Okay. All right. Gonna be starting soon. Thanks to everybody who is giving me the feedback for the last live stream. And also, about the sound and the video quality. But it is Mercury in retrograde. So, anyway, if you're come back from the last stream, feel free to give me a little shout out in the comments. Let me know who's here. And we will be getting to the digital embroidery soon, which I'm so excited about. Let me get my everything in place here. I have not had enough time to be working with this digital embroidery like I would have liked to, and um, I have been sitting on some stuff for way too long. Let me go ahead and switch to my screen. I got a few people popped on, and hopefully I didn't lose too many of you. And I'll just do like a real quick overview. Um, hey, is that Claddy? No, RB. Nice to see you. Yeah. Oh, it was just I don't know who that was. Okay, so in case you guys are unfamiliar, let me find uh, my brushes. So we're spicing it up. Most of the time I am doing Photoshop brush magic, multicolor Photoshop brushes and all that. But I created these embroidery brushes for Illustrator, and they are really fun. And I'm really excited to kind of pick these up again. I have, after I release them, I believe it was 2020, but I'm going to share something. Oh, wrong chat. No worries. Oh my gosh. Nice to see you though. So it's crazy sometimes how like as creatives, we're going to we'll mess with something and then we will set it aside and kind of forget about it for a while. So I had actually done these. Hey, Sydney, super happy to see you again. I'm like, okay, now that I see some people that I know. But it's crazy because with these embroidery brushes, it's embarrassing, but I actually created the first version of these brushes in 2015 and literally like created a whole set almost ready to launch. And I don't know what, oh my gosh, a reverb mic. Yeah, a stitch in time. I don't know why I didn't exactly release them at that point. It was also because of the way that I created these brushes. I wanted it to be really easy for everybody to, just pick up a brush and start creating. But I had created these kind of color overlays, was a little bit kind of more of a complex process. And so in my head, I was like, I don't know exactly how I want to release these. And so later, I figured out a way to kind of automate it, and I only released like two of my different thread styles, but I found a way to automate it. It still took me loads of flipping time so that I could actually have, because these are image-based brushes, so I actually created like all of the colors. So I figured out a way to do that. And then, but I still have more brushes up my sleeve. So we're gonna, I might give you guys a little bit of a peek of that today. But one of the things that I had done, David, no, these are for Illustrator. So it's a little change of pace for all of my regulars. But you can do some really cool things. And I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I have been playing with these Illustrator brushes and kind of creating a mixed media effect. And some of these little, ideas that I had created, if I look at the file, I created these in 2015, 2016, and I have just been like sitting on them. And I had always been meaning to kind of create like a um, what do you call it, like a set of clip arts and different things like that. But before, it was like with the marketplace, I had so many like people copying my stuff, and so I was a little bit more like worried about, kind of keeping my ideas and like, because when I wanted to come out with it, I wanted to come out with, everything. And then sometimes you have these projects that are set aside, and now I'm just like, you know what, here's an idea, go with it, rather than like I have to create my whole set before I can show anybody how to do it. You know what I mean? So now I'm much more in the vibe of just like, hey, we're going to do it all together. Like it doesn't have to be, I created all my thing and then I'm not going to show you guys how I did it until, I had created like a big set, clip art set or whatever for sale. So let me just flip and show you some of the kind of little motifs and ideas that I was playing with. So the idea was to use these Illustrator brushes and also bring them into Photoshop finally at the end, and then have a little fun with adding some paint behind it. I really love the idea. These were just some this file. If I look at the actual, file date of it, I created this probably in 2015. So, um, oh wait, you got to tell me your first name, RB, because all I see is RB. But I love the comment. People will always copy my stuff as soon as it hits the web. It is kind of true. Like before, sometimes I was a bit worried about that, but now I know that, like it's more than just a Photoshop brush. It's more than just this. It's, like nobody can kind of copy my creativity and nobody can be me. So now I'm much less worried about those things. So yeah, now I'm just all about like tossing it into the universe. But I was playing with, some ideas of doing some monograms with the embroidery, with some watercolors, with some little splots behind it. And it's crazy, but yeah, this is legit from 2015, this document. And I was creating some holiday little motifs. Here is some kind of you can see everything together and get the idea. So the idea is making these shapes in Illustrator using these brushes and then bringing them into Photoshop and adding some color behind it and using Photoshop brushes to add the, oh, Rasim. Okay, good. Nice to see you, Rasim. I'm watching my comments on the other screen over there. So glad to see that. But I thought it was really fresh, really fun. And with these Illustrator brushes, with these embroidery brushes, I think where they really shine is when you make them big enough that you can really see the grain, you can really see the details in them, because they are image-based brushes, and that's why they look so realistic, because it is I used images in them of real threads, of real fibers. I clipped them out. I spent a billion years working on these. It was crazy when I first made them. And yeah, it took me a lot of time. So if if you haven't already, you can download a free brush sampler of these. And yeah, let me know, just chime in if you have any questions or whatever. And so this is one of the first, kind of ideas that I had. And I just love that. I used one of my 24 karat gold layer styles here and a watercolor brush behind. So I'm just going to kind of go about recreating that and then show you some other little tips that you can do. So let me pop into my little demo artboard here. And now I already have, just so you know, if you're new to these brushes, don't worry, I've got a playlist here, how to do everything, how to load them, all of that stuff. So, don't get stressed. And they're actually really freaking easy to use. I mean, it's crazy, but I go through everything step by step, so I'm not going to waste your guys' time doing that here. Oh, glad you like the brushes, Rhoda. Um, you can go to the blog post or whatever, or I'll put this playlist down below. I don't think I can add it right now. Um, but yeah, so I've got my art boards already open here. I've got the fabric backgrounds. I've got there's two kind of main styles of thread on these embroidery brushes. And I made all the different colors so that you can just really have fun, that immediacy in Illustrator. And um, you can always change or adjust the color a little bit. There's some color adjusting ones, and you can stay in Illustrator or you can bring them into Photoshop. So this is the dashed brush, and it's I like little attention to details, such as the fact of these dash brushes. I created, yeah, like I created 2 stitches because I wanted the stitches not to be super always so repetitive. I really like, this is a more fluffy stitch. And then we, of course, we got the metallics. So let me see here. I had, just going to show you very quickly how I had created this original sort of like to me, it's kind of like a little Christmas branch or something like that. So I'm going to go into Illustrator and I'm just going to use my own little thing as what do you call it? A guide. And so let's just drop it in here. We can take that. Make sure in Illustrator you hold down your shift key. And I don't think it actually changes. I don't have scale strokes and effects on, but you know what? We'll leave it like this. So I'm going to take that opacity down because this is just going to be my guide. Just going to kind of redraw that so that I can show you guys, you know, just the whole kind of process. So I grabbed, you can load your brushes up like I have here. Or what you can do is, rather than loading the brush, say you can open up the artboard that has got all the brush previews on it, and then just pick out a brush that looks nice, like a color that you want. So I'm just going to grab this one. I can copy that and then paste it into my demo file. And when I do that, then the brush is going to be loaded up down here. So I'm just going to take that, and one thing that I will tell you, especially if you're not, like a lot of the people that follow me work mainly in Photoshop, if you're not used to working in Illustrator, don't be shy to use the layers. Illustrator has a layer panel just like Photoshop. If you don't see it, go to Window, Layers. I've got it down here, and I use, you know, guide layers. And it doesn't look exactly like the Photoshop one, but don't be intimidated by that because it can work the same and really help you. So I'm definitely all about that. So I put the thing that I'm tracing on one layer, and then I made a new layer above it, and then I'm going to do that that paintbrush. So I'm just going to grab my paintbrush tool here in Illustrator. I've got my pattern brush. So as you can see, just, you know, draws that stroke. And one thing that you can also do is double click on this paintbrush tool, and you can have the stroke smoothing. I like to put it up a little smoother because I don't have the most steady hand, I guess you would say. So I'll take my paintbrush tool and put the smoothing up a little bit. Click OK. And then I'm just going to follow my little guide that I've made myself like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And what's great is even if you go over the other ones, it still looks good. So I'll go into that a little bit later. So let's just do that really fast here. And if sometimes, once in a while with these image brushes, if you do too strong of a, like a reverse, you can get a point like that. So usually what I do is I just undo and redraw it again. You could go in with your smoothing tool. Oh, what is that? Not the, is it the smoothing tool? Yeah. You know, with that line selected, you could go in with a smoothing tool and mess with it until you're happy. But I just find it is easier to redraw it, undo. So, and that just reminded me, since I accidentally selected the layer below, I'm gonna lock the layer here. It's on the bottom right panel. And let's just go back. No, we're not gonna draw on that layer. Make sure that you've got the right layer selected. That's not looking lovely. Okay. Okay, let's make this one, I'll make this one just a little bit different than the original one that I made. But I like kind of having these little loopy sort of vibes. I think that's a lot of fun. And I will also, I need to put a link down below of my Pinterest board where I put a lot of my embroidery inspiration. But I feel like this holiday season is going to be like embroidery vibes. I think that this is gonna, I'm like, I think I'm gonna make this a trend. Okay, so I've just drawn that out here. Let's take it and I'm gonna hide that layer that I drew below. See if there's any like blank spots. I can just put a little stroke here if I want to fill if there's any blank spots that I don't like. Go like that. Perfect. Now, as you can notice, you could stay totally in Illustrator, but I'm a Photoshop girl and I want to add that extra something something onto these. So the whole idea is to do some mixed media. So play with, you know, use this, but also add in some Photoshop brushes, some watercolor, and create something really unique. But if you decide, you know, if you want to stay in Illustrator, you know, I've got the backgrounds of the embroidery fabric artboards, so you can load those up in. And even I have, let's see here, where is my styles? Appearance. Gosh, this is how you know I do not work so much in Illustrator, because I'm like, what does the graphic style panel look like? I don't even know. So rather than layer styles, if you decide to stay in, oh my gosh, Reverb Mike with your, the puns are just keep coming. I love it. But if you decide to stay in Illustrator, you can use the layer styles. I've got like little bevels and emboss or drop shadows or whatever. And I believe that you have to hold down like the option key. Let me just try. Yeah. Because if I clicked on one of these, like if I just have these strokes with the brush already applied and clicked on one of these strokes, it's going to just apply that style. So I'm going to undo that. If I hold down my option, or I imagine it's Alt key on a PC and then click on one of my styles, then it's going to add that style on top of it. So as you can see, we can get a really cool look right within Illustrator. So, you know, you can really get that sort of 3D sort of vibe, and you can, I've got a whole bunch of different styles, and you know, you can adjust them too. So if it's not perfect, you know, you want a little more drop shadow or you want to move it around, you can go to here to the appearance and then click on that drop shadow and play with it. It's not as like fun and easy to play with in Illustrator as it is Photoshop, personally, to me, because I'm not an Illustrator girl. So I'm just going to undo that because I'm going to bring this into Photoshop and then, you know, play around with it. But and then another thing though, I'm going to go ahead, since we're in Illustrator, I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate this before I do anything. So one of the things that you can do is, not only am I using those thread brushes to create this, what I can do is turn this design that I've just made, this tree branch, into a brush itself. So now that I've created that, and I don't have to rasterize it, I don't have to do anything, I can just take this, select that whole, you know, blob or whatever that I just made, drag it into my brush panel. I'm going to create an art brush. I'm going to click OK. And then you can most of the time, you can either use scale proportionally or stretch to fit the stroke length, and I'll show you the difference. But I'll just click OK, and I'll leave it stretch to fit the stroke length. I'll click OK. There's a new brush there. Oh, I added it right here. And then the same thing, I can do it again. I can drop that into my brush panel. I'm going to create an art brush, click OK. And then for this one, I'll put scale proportionately. So I'll click OK. So I've got two versions of that same brush there. And then now let's scroll down my artboard just a little bit. And let's test out those brushes. So this one, if I double click on that brush, you can double click on it to edit. This is the one that stretches to length. So I can just drew a little bit of a short brush. Doesn't look so great. Or then a long one, so you can kind of understand what it does. Same thing here. Now if I draw a short brush, it actually takes the brush size down, so it keeps it proportional. So that's interesting. There might be a time where you want that. There might be a time that you want the other one. So, you know, to each their own. But now we can take this and draw it in different ways. Sometimes it'll look a little glitchy, you know, so you might have to be like, you might want to play around with your fidelity, smooth or accurate. I could see which one works better. I'm not sure. Maybe smoothing is better. So if I take my double click on that brush, paintbrush tool options, click smooth, and draw that, and that looks nice. Also, another time, if you're drawing a brush stroke and it's looking a little bit funky, you might want to take the brush size down. So I could take it down to 0.75, and then it can look better, you know? But this is a way you can save a lot of time and create like a really nice frame or something, or, you know, put these things together. So let me just do that here. So like, you know, you could do this, do something like this, and then use it as a border on the side of your card or something. And you don't have to draw those all separately, you know, so that's really good. You know, we're all about saving time here. And then, of course, this is on, let me just check. This is the 0.5. You can do 0.75. It doesn't look good. If it ever doesn't look good, play around with the stroke size. But that's interesting. So we can do some really cool things with that. And it's all about saving time. And I actually had touched on that using the image brush. Even with things that you make in Photoshop, Illustrator can be really cool. So now I'm just going to take that little, you know, branch that I just created. I'm going to copy, I'm going to pop into Photoshop. I think my brain is a bit fried today with all the Mercury and retrograde and all that. It's crazy. And so now I'm just going to paste this. I'm going to paste it as a smart object always. And then I'm just going to maybe take it down in size here. So let's click OK. And let's move this one out of the way a little bit. And now I've got, with this set, I have different layer styles. And these are just kind of jumping off points. They include a little bit of a bevel and emboss, a little bit of a drop shadow to make those threads feel realistic, like it's you know, like it's on top, like it's an actual thread on top of the background. So right over here in my styles panel, I've got those styles loaded up. So I've got 1 point to 0.75, so you can just see which one looks better. And usually I have a darker drop shadow for the regular style, and then I've got like, if it's got a dark background, it has a little bit lighter of a drop shadow because you don't need a drop shadow that much. So you can just play around with them and see which one works and which one looks good for, you know, whatever proportions you're working into. I'm going to leave this 1 point to 0.75 thread layer style, which if I double click on that layer style, it's just a little bit of a bevel and emboss, a little bit of a drop shadow, and you can adjust that yourself. And if you don't love the color perfectly, I can go here and go color overlay. Now it's overlaid a color onto my thing. Let me just pick out a green from here because I want it to match that, you know, those branches that I just made. I'll click OK, go here to click color, and now you've changed the color in Photoshop. So, that way, if you didn't get exactly the right tone to match, whatever it is you have in Illustrator, because I mean, I can't make every single color, then you can play around with the colors. You can make it different, different colors, what have you. I'll just take a green from there, click OK, click OK. Cool. So now we've got that dimensional sort of look here. And then underneath it, I'm going to make a new layer, and I wanted to just have a little bit of a watercolor. I think that looks so cool, and I think we could make a really fresh aesthetic for, like for holiday things, even for, not even holiday, I mean, spring, flowers. I think it's super fresh. I think it's super funky. And it doesn't look like everything out there on the market right now. So I think that's a lot of fun. So what I did was you can grab whatever brushes you want. I popped into my brushwork collection. I've got wet and dry brushes, and I forget exactly which brush I used. Let me just try brush 10. I'm going to use, these aren't color blending, these are actually one color brushes, which is like me using one color brushes. It's shocking. So I'm going to just, with the brush selected option, click somewhere in there, and I'll grab a green from one of my designs. And then I'm just going to make like a little bit of I'm using my pressure sensitivity too. And I just love that vibe of putting that watercolor behind behind that embroidery. I think this could be really fun. It's fresh. It's multimedia, so it's something different. I think it's just really fun, really fantastical. This also could be something that, you make like somebody actually sewed, but you just have a lot more freedom with the digital embroidery. So, and I love how realistic it looks. You can't, I will tell you guys, I am playing with a different version of embroidery with Photoshop brushes, but it's not exactly the same. So, but I think it could all work really fun together. But with this, I think that there's just a lot of fun things to be had, and I'm really liking this, how it's looking. So I just put a little bit of watercolor behind it. And then, oh, and by the way, I also have different backgrounds too for the different fabric backgrounds. I'll just flip through those really quick. So here, I'm just going to show you, I've got different sort of cross stitch and embroidery backgrounds. Now, and what's cool is that they take the color of whatever your color is of the layer. So it's like, I think I used a linear burn overlay layer style, so you could change the color, that's cool. But if, say for example, I've got a white, my layer is white, okay? So, and I've got that layer style on, but if it looks too gray for me in the background, like I'm not, oh, Nicole, I'm glad you like the vibe, right? I have so many ideas for what I could do with this, and I think that it could be a real style for the winter season, and then even into spring. I think it's so fun. But what I was saying is, so if you've got that fabric overlay on there and it's looking too gray, so you can just double click on that pattern overlay, and then you can take the opacity down a little bit, and then it'll look a little bit more white, light. So if that fabric is too much, just do that. So we are vibing with that. And now let's add a little bit of gold. So, oh, let me find my layer here. I'm going to make a new layer above it. And so for this one, I thought I would get funky and play with my gold play brushes above there. But finally, I decided to stick to my trusty 24 karat gold layer styles, just to add a little bit of gold dimension on that. And I think it's really fun. So I keep a few of my 24 karat gold layer styles in my styles panel. And I'm just going to go ahead and add one of those layer styles to the layer before I start brushing. And what I did was here, I used a little decorative brush from my Fresh from the Oven collection. So let me just find that really quick. So I grabbed this brush number 10 and I just did, oops, let me make sure I'm on the right layer here. 1 second. Okay, so that's really big. So let me just take the size down. If you don't know how to left bracket to make the size down. So I just added that and for a little bit of a spine. And then we'll just add some more, some of those accents with like just a regular brush. So let's just do that there. And let me look at my styles panel. I'll just leave it on gold 1A. I don't know exactly which style it was, but it's one of my 24 karat gold. And I wanted also a little bit of dimensionality here. There's a little bevel, little drop shadow. So I think what I did was I actually used one of my thread layer styles. And so I'm going to hold down my shift key and try this 0.5 thread. Let's just drag it. Oh gosh, where's the layer? Hold on 1 second. Let me find my layer here. If I can find it. Okay. There's layers. So I'm going to just hold down my shift key, take that layer style and drag it on there and see how it looks. So when you're holding down the shift key, then it's going to take that layer style and put it on top, add it to whatever layer style you already have. Because it's really important to do that, because if I just click on it, it's going to clear that layer, the gold layer style that I already have applied. So need to make sure we hold down our shift key and drag it. And it used to be you could hold down your shift key and just click it, but it doesn't do that anymore. Josh Merrill, nice to see you. And Victoria, hello. Thanks for dropping in and saying hey. So we're just going to leave that like that. It's okay. I could play around with the gold, make it, like perfect or whatever, but I'm not going to worry about it. So now I'm just going to add I'll just take a basic brush, like any simple brush, because I'm going to just add little touches of gold on top of that. So I'm just going to take my brush size down to like really small, maybe like 20, and then just draw on some of those, on top of some of those threads, and make it like a little bit bigger, and then just add some like little accents or some, like I did on the top. I think it looks cool. And even I could add some little dots, and then now we've got a whole sort of vibe with that, and I'm loving it. T Fulmore, oh, what's your first name? I want to know who it is, but I'm glad you caught alive. David, yeah, that's really important with the shift key and dropping on, adding those additional layer styles. So it's crazy, but I think it looks really cool and really fun and really dimensional. And I plan to do a bunch of different, maybe do like a stock illustration collection or something like that. But what else have I done here? And so let me just go back here. So we can, use this idea, use this, thing for something like this. So with these, I don't even think I changed the color or whatever, but just, use that idea and create your own illustration. So I did that here. Maybe on the next live stream, I'm going to show you how I did the letter here, the monogram. And actually, hold on, I'm gonna, since I have, a few of you here, I'm gonna have to show you guys some previews and show you a bit into my crazy world, because like I said, I did these back like 2015, and it's shocking. But I like this idea. I think this will be fun for winter, like I created a snowflake. I, added a little watercolor behind it. I think I used one of the default watercolor Photoshop brushes on this one, but now after I made my brushwork, I like those a lot more. And then for this one, I added some of my frosted and frozen layer styles. I think there's a lot of fun things you can do there. And I was even this has got one of the brushes that I haven't, the thread brushes that I haven't released yet. And let me just go into my bridge here. And then I'm going to show you how I did lettering and then maybe call it a wrap for this live right now. But I was already working on a font with these. I have like practically made a font. I need to release some of this stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to go through and show some of the stuff that I've done. You know, you can make some, uh, here was a little sort of, let me double click and open this. I'm going to show you guys into all of my embarrassing like past files and everything. It's so crazy. I'm showing you into the vault, into the stuff that like has never gotten done. But here, I, oh, I know what inspired this. It was the actress Sophie Turner, and she was always saying, doing like on social media and saying, and that's the tea. So I thought it was really cute. And here I used the brushes. I didn't worry what color I was using. But I think this could be something really nice that I could flesh out this composition, with this sort of look here. Like, let me pop back. So I could do the watercolor background and do some gold, but and flesh that out. So I think maybe I'll work on that later, but the color wise I didn't, do anything. Nicole, you feel my pain. Yeah, it's crazy. As long as I'm here, I'm just letting you guys all in with the vault. It's just embarrassing how long you sit on some things. Like I legit, um, yeah, well, like I said, I did most of this in 2015, and I have actually like pretty much made a graphic font, which I should just release it. Here's some little ditties. Oh gosh, I had done some, wanted to show you guys the thing with bridge. I wanted to show you, first of all, some more strokes that I think that I'm going to, or more different thread styles, I should say, that I think I will release for my, yeah, for my Behance subscribers. So by the way, if you're not a Behance subscriber, you should be, because Behance subscribers get all of the stuff that I'm releasing while you're a member. You get a lot of, you get my source files, you get all of that. So, you should be a subscriber if you can afford it. I'm like, don't want to be, a, what can you do? But it's $10 a month. So, and you get a huge library of all of my projects and resources, my tutorial toolkit library. It's huge. Okay, so here's a little composition that I made. I think that I used the ones that are actually released, or this is like a previous version. But this is an idea of something you can do with it. And what I do all the time, what I wanted to tell you guys is that I am not a hand letterer by any means. So I'll go over this in a little bit, but I use a font as a guide in Illustrator, and I just draw over it. And so I can create this amazing lettering. And I think you could do some really fun things, like you can do monograms, all kinds of stuff. Okay, here is that file. I think I'm going to open it. I'm probably maxing out my my thing. Okay. So when I released my brushes, I've actually, this is like version 1 of these brushes, and I guarantee you if I look at this file, let me see here, reveal in Finder, it's going to be like this. Okay, this one was in 2020, but I did most of these in 2015. So because I wanted I wanted the embroidery brushes to be as easy as possible for everyone to use, I didn't release all of my different thread styles because it took me ages. I wanted them to have that immediacy in Illustrator and you not have to do the color overlay. So I literally did all of them like this and did like, I don't know if this is like 100 colors in each style, but it was a lot. Let me hover over it here. Yeah, like 122 brushes for each thread style. So I did that like 4 times. So I made like 400 brushes, but I basically used only 2 of my thread styles. But when I originally made it, I had a lot of different thread styles. Here you can see sometimes my color overlay was not perfect, but it still did okay. So what I'm thinking is that this week last week was Fall Fun Week. That was my theme. But I think this week I'm going to do Embroidery Week. And maybe I will release these brushes that I've never released to my Behance subscribers. So yeah, some of them will look a little goofy, like this one's not the best, but some of them are quite cool. And like for example here, let me go into here. Um, this monogram sample, I used a different thread stroke that I haven't released yet, so it's a little bit different. It's one of the ones from my from this collection. Gosh, oh, here it's like this one. These took me ages, by the way. This was a lot of work cutting all these out, creating an image brush, and then I had to create a plain brush that matches it so that you could do a color overlay. T. Fulmore. Okay, don't know if I caught your first name. These brushes are for Illustrator, by the way. But all my other brushes, my color blending Photoshop brushes, they should work for Photoshop for iPad, except in the one color. The problem is that with Fresco and with Photoshop for iPad, the pattern stamp tool or the mixer brush, at least last time I checked, is not working exactly the same as it does on regular Photoshop. So I would love to canvas them so that their pattern stamp tool actually works the same as it does in Photoshop, especially in Fresco. That would be amazing. I love it. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. So we've got to like canvas them. Okay, so I'm gonna get back. I just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek. I'm showing you behind the curtains on all these brushes. And yeah, I got all different kinds of stitches, all different kinds of strokes. So I think I should probably release those for my Behance subscribers. And then now I'm just going to show you how I did the text. It's super easy. You know, you can't get any easier than this. So I just, wrote out on a layer. I have it, let me see here. I don't know which one I'm on. Okay. So like I said, take advantage of layers in Illustrator if you're not already. Seriously, they can be your best friend and keep things really clean for you. So I just typed out, this is a font called Bundt Cake. Yeah, I like it because it's really clear and really simple, great for scripts. So I put that on one layer, lock that layer, I'm gonna make a new layer above it, and I'm gonna grab a brush that I want. So in this case, I'm gonna grab one of my metallic brushes like you saw there. So it's this one. And let me just draw a little stroke. I'll draw a little stroke to see if it's like, okay, that's too big, So I want to set my brush size first. So drew stroke, let's put it at 0.75. Okay, that's going to look better. So I'm going to cut that. And then I'm going to, yeah, so all I do is use this as a guide. And one thing I am excited about, I don't think it's been released yet. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't think it's been released yet. But you know how they were talking about one of the upcoming things for Adobe Illustrator was to be able to turn any font into like basically a path, and that way you could apply your own brush to like any font. So hopefully they will do that because that would be really amazing, and I wouldn't have to draw out my paths myself. So that would be super cool. So that's the idea. That should be coming out. I forgot what the project name on that was. Let me make sure that my stream's going good. If any of you guys are watching and let me know how the stream quality is and the sound, that would be super duper. Sometimes if I haven't had a comment in too long, I get paranoid that that it went off or something, and that I'm just sitting here talking to myself like a crazy. So, yeah, feel free to let me know. And also, like, say for example, if you have something on this path that you don't love, or maybe there's a point or a curve you don't like, uh, with this stroke selected, you could grab your, what is it, the smoothing tool? Yeah. And you can just go and, touch that stroke and move it around. So, like if it's not perfect, you don't have to throw the, what is it, the baby out with the bathwater. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Mallory and Nicole, for letting me know that it still looks good. So yeah, so you can just do that. You don't have to like redo it. And yeah, and sometimes I don't follow it exactly, but we get the idea. Then we can just drop it in Photoshop, or you can apply the drop shadows and everything here. But I'm going to just quick show you guys something that I did that I was working on, and maybe I can just quick like pop it into Photoshop and add all these effects. So yeah, so I thought this would be cool to like do like a holiday monogram or something. I think that that would be really fun. So let us go back into our Photoshop here. Let's make a little bit of space. Let me lock that layer. I like to kind of keep, lock that layer too. Oh Lord, I need to lock all my layers. Okay, I'm gonna make a little space, but I want to kind of keep these things that I've already made for our inspiration, so we can kind of keep on theme. Here I just dropped in that whatever. Okay, so we'll just drop it in here. Let me hide my thing, give me some more space. Okay, so here's what I did using all the techniques that I already showed you. So I drew an H, I drew, that little Christmassy branch or whatever, turned it into a brush, and then I used my brush so that I didn't have to draw those all of my, again. And so let's just, you could export this as a PSD and all of that, but quite frankly, I just love to like copy and paste into Photoshop. So I'm just going to take my initial here, I'm going to copy it, go into Photoshop, paste it, always as a smart object, and I'll paste it at 100%, and then I'll, resize it if I need to, but smart object keeps everything good. So I'll just copy these two together. Maybe not. Copy it, paste it, smart object. Okay. There we go. Not bridge. Copy it, paste it, smart object. Okay. And then I drew out using the other brush style. It's kind of a fuzzier one. So I just took this red brush and just made a little circle, and it made these nice little sort of balls, like I guess for lack of a better word. So I'm just going to paste them over here. And I'm going to quick do that. And then we're going to add some watercolor behind it. And then I'm going to call it a day for this because I've worked hard. And I need to take the dog out. Okay. So copying it, pasting it, smart objects, and one last one. And we could do a whole lot more with this, but the main thing I wanted to like let you guys know with these sort of brushes is give them room. Use these brushes at a big scale so that you can really see that effect, that 3D. So I am just going to real quick add some of my thread layer styles. So there we go. We're getting that dimensionality like right away. And there's 0.5. small thread, maybe one. I think I'm going to leave it on one here, yeah. So I'm just clicking on my layer. I like to have auto select like layer always usually on. And that makes it really easy to select things. And now I've got that like bit of dimensionality. I'm loving it. And then I can just, and it's already looking cool. I think it's looking really fun. I don't know if I should put the H on top of the other thing. Not. Let me, gosh, I'm getting lost in my layers here. I kind of like it covering it. Okay. So yeah, so now we'll just put, gosh, where are these? Okay, I think this is the bottom of that. All right, let's mark that layer with red so I know where I am because I got a lot of stuff on this artboard. And then I'm just going to go over to my, go over to my regular brush tool. I'm grabbing my brushwork, wet brush number 10, and my holly berries haven't turned red yet. And then maybe just add a little bit of like watercolor here. Even I could add, let me option select some red. I don't know, you know, like you can play around with it. I'm not going to worry about this one being super perfect right now. Might do some like, you know, I don't know about how I feel about the red or not, but the green I like. Okay. You could also change the blend mode to multiply a little bit so it looks like it interacts a little bit with that layer. It looks like a little bit more of a stain. I don't know which one I prefer, to be honest, but I'm just gonna leave it. I'm not gonna like really freak out about it, whatever. But let's go up here. And then I think what I'll do is, here's the top one of that. So I'll add some gold like I did on my other one. So I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm gonna put that, grab one of the styles that I have on hand. This is my 24 karat gold layer style. I'm gonna take, let's see if I still have that. Oh, I still have that brush up here. Don't forget, you can always click up here for your recent brushes so you don't have to go back through your panel. And let me take the size down. I've got the smoothing on really high, so that can look, can slow you down a little bit. So let me just, I think I'll put this, gosh. I need to put the berries on top. I need to make sure I put the, yeah. Find all the berries. Now, normally you're going to be a little bit more organized than me, but you know, I'm just doing this. I did this at the last minute, so what have you. So we'll draw that. We're going to go ahead and add that, that thread style, which is going to give it a little bit of dimensionality. So I'm going to hold down my shift key and drag it on there. And now it's just got a little bit more oomph. And so we're cool with that. And then we're just going to grab like, I don't know if this is the same brush. Yeah, just have like a plain brush, and we can just add some little gold, in there. And it's just feeling like very multimedia, very something different, you know? I love texture. I love doing a little bit of dimensionality. Oh, thank you so much, Reverb Mike. I love it. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna call you Mike. I don't want to say Reverb Mike. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe that's a little bit laggy. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I think the dog has been like not letting me sleep so good, but I think that that's fun. We won't worry about it being perfect, but I think that there's a lot of possibilities with that. And one of the things that I really need to flesh is to finish my, what do you call it? My alphabets that I did, my ugly bridge files, but I had actually created paths and created some alphabets. So, and then the cool thing about that, this is a good idea for you guys. You can make your own alphabets. I don't care. It's okay. Is that you could, once you make the path, okay, then you can you can change the brush stroke or you can change the thread and make a different font. This is what I was going to do. This is, maybe I'll still do it. Maybe I'll still work it out, but make the path once and then you can change the thread and make it, into different fonts or whatever. So you just have to do the path once. And I think I showed some of you guys that. So like, say for example, if I've already drawn this path here, but I could turn it into like this thread style, or make a font and then it's this one, or the gold, rope style. So it's just that easy. So you just have to draw the path once. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna probably just stop it there for today. And I'm so glad that everybody got to tune in. Thank you guys so much for the comments, all of the people that hung around, because I had my internet issues at first. I was supposed to go on at 4:30. I ended up going on at 5, but it is Mercury retrograde, so make sure you guys back up. Make sure you, yeah, always give technology a little bit of a leeway. And, what can you do? But I'm going to be here tomorrow. And you know what? I don't even know what time it is going to be. I sent a newsletter out. I'm like, trying not to show all my, let's see. Oh, wait, here we go. I'm going to check my live stream schedule. Like, hide some of these here. When is my live stream? So tomorrow I have a schedule for 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So you can catch me then. And what else? And I might pop on before then, but I don't know. I'm already like totally brain fried out. But I'm glad you guys, hopefully you guys got some ideas. This is just to give you some ideas. I think this could be really fun for the upcoming holiday season. I think you can make some really amazing things that will really stand out in like the sea of boring stuff that's out there. Everybody's using, like the, Canva, Adobe Express. I love it though. But the thing is when everybody's using those same things, it all looks the same. So, uh, Laverne and Shirley, yes, exactly. Monograms are back. Monograms are in. They never left. But so it's cool. So I think we can make some really cool, fun things. And so I'm gonna hash out some of this stuff, and I'll be sharing this on my Behance. Make sure you're following me, and don't forget, you can subscribe for $10 and get all of my stuff that I release while you're a member. So thanks everybody for joining me, and I am popping off and gonna go walk the dog. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. And let's see here. Mm-mm-mm.